Hello, this is Mark BH70, and I'll show you what I have on my car. I mentioned it before, I thought I'd show you. This is my car, and this video I think I'll call Character Development. This is a bumper sticker that somebody else put on the car. It's a sheriff. This is what I put on the car to the left. Aquarius, age of the reign of Christ. And there's my other sticker, shame for the name, Acts 5. And it took me quite a lot to get out here. It was rush hour traffic. I took the wrong way, and then when I wanted to turn around, the road was closed. Character development. If you want to develop something, the Bible talks about a piece of clay, and look at these beautiful flowers. Just beautiful. Purple and yellow. And I want to get out here. I wanted to do 2 videos, but I think I'll only be able to get one. There's some leaves falling. Just beautiful out here. I wanted to do 2 videos. I wanted to do a video on Bro Justin's 1 John 4 test that he talks about, but I guess I'll save that for another time. But I try to get out here. A little bit about me. That's my car, and I'm poor, and have been poor, except for living with my middle-class family, upper middle-class family. I come from an upper middle-class family. I've been poor. I didn't really have any money when I was with my upper middle class family, but we lived in a nice neighborhood. It was quite nice. My father was definitely not just middle income. My father was upper middle income. He was well beyond. And to give you an idea, when he retired, he was probably making $80,000 a year, $100,000 a year. So, but I've been poor, but I took my car out to tell you, and this is just beautiful over here. And just the light is perfect, and the leaves are changing. It's fall. It is October 7th, 2011. Friday. And the rush hour traffic was bad. I live in a pretty good sized city. It's not Chicago. But anyway, I've been poor, and that's been part of my character development. Let me give you an example of what God is doing if you really want to follow God, and most people do not want to follow God. Most people, are content with their churches, they're more concerned about the people that are there than the God that is absent. Just beautiful over here. There's a spider web in the sunlight. Don't know if you can see that. Or a spider thread. But I've been poor, and I had fibromyalgia, and I have been in mental institutions, and the people they put in mental institutions are those that don't fit in. The poor, for one way, they don't fit in. And it's rather abusive. There was violence and all this stuff. And just to give you an example, I was thinking of some different things. But character development, when you think of, and here are my feet. When you think of character development, one of the things comes patience. And that is one of the qualities, and I'm trying to avoid quoting the Bible because I think I'm getting tired of looking up stuff, and people should be able to read the Bible themselves. There are people that would want to criticize me, but when I didn't put up Bible verses to support what I said, then I would put it up and then they would shut up. It was funny. But God is developing in me patience. And when I was in the mental institution, and I've said that before, it was a little hard to admit, it has implications that are not true. It's this idea that they're this special class of people that need help. As far as my soul, I'm better off than other people, but it develops my patience, it develops my soul, these difficult times. And this is connected with what I've said before. It's beautiful over here. This is connected with what I've said before. That the difficult times produce patience. The Bible talks about that, and I don't want to get into a quote. But the difficult times produce patience. If you're waiting through the difficult times, waiting is with a D and waiting with a T. If you're waiting through the difficult times, then you develop an insensitivity to your condition, which is part of the development of character. That you should be more sensitive to what God provides. This idea, if you lack, God provides. If you have, and another Bible verse is coming to me, and I'm trying not to quote it, but if you have, then what can be given to you? If you already have, but if you lack, the good things of life, then you're enduring, and it produces endurance and patience. And but I was going to say also, besides patience, patience for God, because if you have what you need and you have an abundance, what are you waiting on God for? And the answer is nothing. And that's what happened to me. What happened was, I was working and I had enough money, and I never had very much. I was still poor, but I didn't need to rely on God. And then I had health problems, and then there were problems with money, and there were health. If you have something to ask God for, then the difficulties make you look to God, and that is exactly what He wants you to do. He wants you to look to something that can provide life. But also, if you don't have money, you can rely on God for money. If you go through difficult times, it softens your heart. It softens your heart to have good character and to develop love. And what do you have if you don't have a value for your life? And this idea, it's about thankfulness. And when you get something but you don't get everything, you're thankful for what you get. When you get everything you want, you become rather spoiled. And you get impatient, and those characteristics aren't developed in you. But for those who would follow God, which is not most people, it's not the religious. For those who would follow God, the development of your character is salvation, because Jesus came to develop our character and make us fit for the kingdom of God. If you're an axe murderer, then you shouldn't expect heaven. And it's the same with any other sin. It's not a matter of what sin you're committing right now. It's a matter of the faith in God that transforms you. There's what I might call an empty faith. There's the faith that people have that is like, well, one day, long away from here, we'll get heaven and things will be good just like they're good down here. Well, if you remember the rich man and Lazarus had through difficult times and he went to heaven, and the rich man had good times and he went to condemnation. God is not interested in condemning, but he sees the way people are. But our character development comes from hard things. It's like, somebody understands comfort if they sit on a knife or they sit on something uncomfortable. They understand comfort from the removal of that thing. If you're uncomfortable and then you're blessed, you've learned appreciation just for your life. You've learned both sides, if that makes sense. But your discomfort makes you take inventory, or it can if you're a person of God. Your discomfort makes you take inventory and think, well, what have I got? If I don't have money, if I have health problems, and I have health problems and I don't have money, and if I don't have my money to rely on, it produces faith. The same faith that saves you, the same faith that develops your character. If you're interested in character development, then you're interested enough. If you're interested enough to have things not always go your way, because if you want to develop your patience, things don't go your way. If you want to develop your faith, then that is another character trait that comes about when we have to look to God. The people of God have to look to God because they don't have anywhere else to look. If you're in need and God provides, then you look to Him. For me, it was pain. I was with fibromyalgia, and I was in pain. And that pain, made me look to God for relief. And then I would be without money because my health was poor. And so I was poor. And I saw that God provided for me. There was one thing I prayed for, several things I prayed for, but one thing I prayed for my health, and I couldn't afford it. Somebody let me borrow something. It's a magnetic mattress for my health. And it's just, if you want heaven, and if you want better character, just like Jesus said in Matthew 5, about blessed are those that hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. You're not looking for the things of the world. And God distracts you from the things of the world to, the things that you could get, instead of looking at your boats and your cars and your houses and your lake cottages and gaining more. If God puts a stop to your gaining more in this world, then you have something to gain that's apart from this world. And so, as I said, difficulties develop character. If you want the faith for heaven, Jesus had said that there would be persecutions. Jesus said, that they would be persecuted. And I'm trying to avoid quoting another verse. But if you want to study your Bible, then you can't be engaged too much in the world. That you're engaged to serve the one who called you, Just like when you go to work. If you don't concern yourself with your job, you won't get paid. And but you know, if you want a soft heart comes with prickly things. If you want heaven, it comes with a soft heart. Character is developed through, you know, unpleasant things. Character is developed through not getting what you want. Character is developed through poverty. Character is developed through health problems. Character is developed when people are mean to you and you learn to respond differently. And over the last few years, I've refined responding differently to people's behavior. Character does not come without trial. Character comes through faith. Faith is not developed without exercising that faith. And if you have this world and you look to this world, you're not developing faith. And you can't have faith. So it's a choice that a lot of people don't want to think about. It's a choice between this world and the world to come. And, you know, I know that God, you know, will bless me and all that in this world. But first, He wants to get me to look away from this world to the character development, to the heavenly character. To what doesn't come from myself, what isn't in everyone else. This type of behavior that isn't common among men. This type of behavior that shows love, that shows tolerance. Rather than fighting with people on YouTube, I pretty much leave them alone. In fact, I do leave them alone completely now. I won't fight with them. But it's that character, and it just depends on what you value. What you value makes you choose your path. What you value sets you on the narrow path. The narrow path has few people that follow it. Jesus said as much. And you can look that up. Look up narrow path if you want to, and find out where Jesus said that. But it's just not possible to have character without these problems. You know, pain, just like when you send a child, if you have a child, you send it to its room. You send a child to its room, or you spank a child. You make a child go to school. You know, you exercise because you see, and you don't exercise if you don't see the value. You exercise because you see the value of exercising, which is not as great as exercising faith. But it's this idea that will provide you all things that are necessary. Since it's a spiritual life, development of character through problems, through pain, develops something that is worth the pain. It develops, no matter what your circumstances are, it develops in someone who will follow Him the type of character that, well, the type of person that has access to God. You know, you pray, you get food. You pray, you get clothing. You pray, you get the spiritual blessings. You get what you need down here, but the development of character won't allow you to change the circumstances through faith, because the circumstances are what produce faith in the first place. Development of bit of character. If you have faith, then the spiritual world is opened up to you. And for me, and just as an example, it opens up slowly. It's slow development to where, if I need something, physically or spiritually, I believe that I have it. Not if I want something, because wants end up being the desires in the world. But faith gives you access to everything that God allows, and God does allow the spiritual. But it's not for everyone. It's not for most people. I get sick of these Bible thumpers, and some people may call me a Bible thumper, I don't know. But I get sick of these Bible thumpers, that where's their faith, where's their hope, where's their love? Because faith comes through development of character, it comes through hard times, to where, I have to, and I remember the time that it was in my life. It was shortly after I became a Christian. I became a Christian only through faith, not through anything else, but the only way to become a Christian is through faith. And then I had my faith tested with my health, and I thought, well, what is happening to me? This is horrible. Why would God do this to me? And the simple answer is why? Because He loves me. Because He knows that the pain and the lack of money and my old car, which you just saw, that they are producing something that is more positive than the circumstances are negative. God sees it as a good trade. God sees it as a good trade. He sees that if you have given your life to Him and you want salvation, you want a good future, then He sees that this character development is necessary. And He says, if you've chosen my way, and I know there are people that suffer that have not chosen His way, but I don't think not to the extent that you will come to see, when the question comes, why, God, have you done this? The answer is always the Christian faith, the Christian hope, the Christian love. Faith is where you trust God. That's what the word means, pistao. Pistao is the Greek for trust. It's called faith, which it is faith, but it's called belief. But I think there's this idea of trust, which is a better way to say it in English. And this trusting God, that I know God is good, I know He's turning this out, and that develops. I know He's turning this out for my good. It's not just something meaninglessly suffering through for the people of God, but it's purposeful. Satan works in our lives, and God allows Satan to do things that will make our lives difficult and painful, but develop something, as I had said before, develop something that is even more important. That if you saw and you had the eyes to see and had the eyes to appreciate what God is doing for you, you would say what I say. Yeah, bring on the pain, bring on the suffering, bring on the poverty, not unlimitedly, but limitedly, for the development of what I know is superior. And then there's hope. Hope says that this is just beautiful up here. Hope says that you that you have something to look forward to. And that's the idea of heaven, but that's the idea in every moment. That in every moment, everything that happens to us is our hope. And then love, that's participation in the divine nature. That we're not talking about, God loving us through giving us what we desire and letting us corrupt ourselves. The Christian sees beyond comfort and pleasure and sees that this life is valuable, that this life is the most important thing. And when you see that your life that God is developing in you is the most important thing, then you say, oh, okay, and this is beautiful up here too, then you say, well, I understand now that if this is so important, then it's not the worst thing that could happen to me, the things that are happening to me. But it develops character. You care about people, you're patient with people, you of a certain type. I'm not saying you don't say anything negative to people, but you avoid nastiness, and it is a blessing to your soul. I cannot describe the development of your life, how valuable that is. And it's worth the trade-off. It's worth the trade-off. It is worth the pain. And the pain may be great. It was great with me. I had a sickness, and I was very sick, and I was very much in pain. And I didn't have money. And God allows good things. God brings good things, but He also allows evil things for the betterment of our lives. It's as though God can give us riches and pleasure whenever He wants to, but development takes time, and it's more valuable than simply giving people what they want, because you get what you want, and then you say, well, I've already got what I want, and there's no point in wanting that anymore. Then you want something else. It's the realization of what God's doing, that it is better for a person of God to go through difficulties, to go through poverty, to go through physical pain, to be frustrated, because it teaches you how to take frustration. That not getting what you want, you wonder what's happening with your life. Well, not getting what you want is the circumstances that God puts you in, and the frustration that Satan provides, because he knows truly, and I say this with full conviction, it's not a doubt in my mind, truly the circumstances that produce a good character are not possible any other way, and they're full worthy of enduring in our lives, because the life, and it's hard to see, and I don't think most people will see it, the life is superior, far superior to the bad circumstances. Because if you don't have yourself, if you don't have life, what do you have? Somebody that's alive wants to be alive, even if the situation isn't pleasant. And it's just like that in the spiritual life. To be spiritually alive and to be spiritually developed is full worth it. Thank you. Have a good day.